my name is Ifong Chen and I'm doing a reflection on biodiversity conservation. And now the main threat to biodiversity is the conversion of land from natural habitats to urban or suburban land. So in order to solve this problem, there are some people come up with some planning tools for conserving biodiversity, such as cluster zoning, TDR, the transfer of developed rights, incentive zoning, PUD, conservation subdivision, impact fees, land banking, purchase of development rights, etc. And the effectiveness of these planning tools depends on the situations and performance of jurisdictions, and also the multiple tools are often used by planners while planning. However, there are still some issues of biodiversity conservation planning. The biggest issue is that the concept of biodiversity is nebulous. For example, there's no common understanding on biodiversity. Also, the questions like who is responsible for it and why care and how to evaluate the outcomes are also the issues that pop up. Thus, not only the public will feel confusing, but also the planners will feel a lot of difficulties while planning. So we want to figure out how to make biodiversity conservation more effective. In order to improve the effectiveness of biodiversity conservation, the first way is to cooperate with NGOs, and more conservation specialists should be engaged in the planning team. At last, more funding for biodiversity conservation are helpful. Furthermore, is there any way to increase biodiversity conservation in planning? Sure, if we have additional funding or we promote public education. In this reflection, I would like to talk about the public education. According to some survey data, only 30% of public know about the loss of biodiversity. So in this case, what should we do to promote the public education? Is there any inspiring ideas? In my perspective, there are several ways to promote public education. For example, to form a new organization or to raise public literacy of biodiversity. And the last one is to set an iconic landscape, as well as the flagships. Now I'm going to explain why I choose these methods for raising the public education. First of all, the new organizations are formed to do community outreach and make general public involved in biodiversity conservation. Second, we can raise public literacy of biodiversity through effective communication tools, for example, the Facebook group. Third, we set iconic landscapes, and the public education should focus on the local flagships. And if we have good implementation of these methods, it is possible for us to have more biodiversity-friendly community. From my experience, I have volunteered in Queensland Conservation Council, an NGO, this semester. We are there to do phone call survey and community outreach to get people involved in concerning the renewable energy in Queensland. And I recognize that people can be interested in the issues and are willing to be engaged if you explain clearly to them. So if we want to plan the biodiversity conservation in an effective way, get more funding for public outreach and education would be the most effective thing planners can do.
Created using Powtoon.